How much energy have you wasted on unnecessary arguments? How often have you found yourself stuck in conflicts that leave you drained and frustrated? There's an overlooked skill that few master. Yet it has the power to transform your life, the ability to ignore. This isn't about apathy, it's about wisdom. True intelligence isn't always about proving you're right, sometimes. It's about choosing not to react at all. From childhood, we're taught that if someone challenges us, we must defend ourselves. That if someone attacks, we must retaliate. But what if that's exactly what they want? Think about it. When someone insults you or makes a cutting remark, are they genuinely interested in your perspective? No. They're looking for a reaction. They want to know they've gotten under your skin because that gives them power. Each time we engage in these conflicts, we hand over our energy to someone unworthy of it. It's like sailing a boat but stopping every time someone throws a rock, just to throw it back. We don't realize that by doing so, we're wasting time, drifting off course, and exhausting ourselves over something insignificant. The worst part? This reaction becomes automatic. The moment we feel challenged, we lash out instinctively, as if we have no control. But does this ever bring real resolution? How many arguments have truly ended with both sides shaking hands and saying, "That was productive. We understand each other now"? Almost never. That's because most conflicts aren't about understanding, they're about ego. Ego craves validation, seeks to win, and demands superiority. But true strength doesn't come from proving a point, it comes from not needing to. There's an old Buddhist story about a man who was insulted in the street. Instead of responding, he simply smiled and walked away. When asked why, he replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you refuse to accept it, to whom does it still belong?" That gift represents people's negativity, their criticism, their anger, their need for control. Without realizing it, most of us accept this negativity the moment we react to it. But here's the truth. You don't have to engage in every argument. You don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. Ignoring isn't a sign of indifference, it's a sign of wisdom. It's the understanding that not everything is worth your attention. When someone tries to provoke you, observe, don't engage. Notice how they expect a reaction and, instead, give them silence. That's when the power dynamic shifts. The person who refuses to be pulled into the drama is the one truly in control. When you throw a stone into a pond, the water ripples for a moment but then returns to stillness. It doesn't hold onto the disturbance, it simply flows. Humans, however, do the opposite. We not only react when provoked, but we also actively seek conflict, often without realizing it. Why? Because we've been conditioned to believe that arguing is necessary, that proving ourselves makes us stronger. But the reality is, most arguments aren't about truth, they're about validation. When someone disagrees with us, we don't just hear another perspective, we feel as though our identity is being questioned. And that discomfort fuels our need to fight back. We argue not to understand but to defend our sense of self. As if losing an argument means losing a part of who we are. If you look closely, you'll see that most conflicts aren't about the actual topic being debated. They stem from unresolved emotions. A person who's had a bad day is more likely to pick a fight. Someone who feels insecure might try to bring others down. When you engage with their negativity, you absorb it. What starts as a disagreement turns into an emotional battlefield, where the original point no longer matters, it just becomes about winning. But what, exactly, are we winning? Most arguments don't end with changed minds, just exhaustion, tension, and wasted energy. We get into endless debates with partners, friends, and even strangers online, only to end up drained. And for what? Nothing has truly changed. There is power in silence that most people fail to understand. In a world where everyone feels the need to react, to defend themselves, to justify their opinions, choosing not to respond is an act of self-mastery. Ignoring doesn't mean surrendering, it means refusing to play a game that has no real winner. Imagine someone standing in front of you, shouting, expecting you to retaliate, but instead of reacting, you remain calm, you don't flinch, you don't even change your expression. Their frustration grows as they try harder to provoke you, but you give them nothing. Eventually, they run out of energy, and their anger dissolves into nothing. That is the power of non-response. Most people aren't looking for real conversations, they're looking for reactions. They want to see you lose control, raise your voice, scramble for words. Engaging in that game only drains you. The best way to win? Simply don't play. This isn't about suppressing your emotions, it's about observing them before you act. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Will this discussion lead anywhere? Or will it just trap me in a cycle of negativity? Because every time you respond, you invest your attention, and attention is one of your most valuable resources. Our ego tells us that staying silent means losing, that if we don't defend ourselves, the other person wins. But the truth is, nothing is more powerful than showing that no one can shake you. Calmness disarms anyone. There's a Buddhist saying, the wind can stir up dust, but it cannot move a mountain. When you master the art of non-response, you become that mountain. Ignoring everything for the sake of ignoring is pointless, just as speaking up for the sake of speaking up is reckless. The key is knowing the difference. Before you respond, ask yourself 3 things. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If the answer to any of these is no, silence is likely the wiser choice. However, there are moments when silence is not an option, when setting boundaries, preventing harm, or standing up for someone in need. The problem is, we often confuse ego with truth. We think we need to speak because our pride is at stake. But in reality, most arguments are just about dominance, not understanding. Once you learn to stay silent when a response isn't worth your peace and to speak only when it truly matters, you unlock something even more powerful, the ability to deactivate conflict before it even begins. True wisdom lies not in reacting to every challenge but in knowing which battles are worth fighting. Most arguments don't stem from logic, they start with emotion. When someone lashes out, it's often driven by frustration, anger, or insecurity rather than reason. Responding with the same energy only fuels the conflict, making a clash inevitable. However, breaking the cycle before it escalates takes away the argument's power. One of the most effective ways to do this is by using neutral phrases that diffuse confrontation. Instead of reacting defensively, you can say, "I see your point," or "Let's talk about this later when we're both calm." This doesn't mean you agree, it simply prevents further escalation. Another key strategy is not taking things personally. People often argue due to their own frustrations rather than anything directly related to you. If you refuse to engage, they lose the motivation to keep fighting. A neutral response like, "I'm not going to argue about this right now," or even silence can make them realize their efforts at provocation aren't working. Humor is another powerful tool. When someone expects you to react emotionally, but you remain calm or respond with lightheartedness, you strip them of their power. It's not about dismissing the issue but about refusing to let negativity dictate your reaction. The most important lesson is that you are never obligated to participate in every conflict that comes your way. You don't have to prove yourself or convince anyone. Walking away from an argument isn't a loss, it's a gain. It means reclaiming your peace. True power doesn't come from winning arguments but from not needing them in the first place. When you reach that level, you unlock something greater. The freedom to detach from anything that doesn't add value to your life. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that nothing external can disturb your inner peace. No criticism, no provocation, no opinion can shake you. This isn't about avoidance. It's about developing a mindset so resilient that outside negativity no longer affects you. Most people live at the mercy of external events, allowing insults, disagreements, and criticism to dictate their emotions. But when you stop reacting, when you refuse to let outside forces control your inner state, you take back control. Think about it. How many bad days weren't actually bad because of what happened, but because of how you reacted? How much unnecessary stress have you created by engaging in conflicts that weren't worth your energy? The moment you let go of these meaningless battles, you start seeing life differently. You stop feeling the need to prove yourself. Stop carrying burdens that were never yours. And free yourself from unnecessary weight. This isn't about becoming emotionless but about being selective with your energy. It's about consciously deciding what deserves your response, and most of the time, the answer is, it doesn't. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from attachment, and one of the biggest attachments is the need to be right. When you detach from that need and prioritize your peace over winning an argument, you gain something far greater, true freedom. This shift changes everything. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer waste time justifying yourself to those who don't want to understand. And you stop being affected by things that don't truly matter. This doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. It means choosing how you respond. Setting boundaries doesn't require arguing, it requires standing firm in your peace. Nothing disarms an aggressor more than someone who refuses to engage. Over time, people notice. Those who used to provoke you stop trying because they no longer get the reaction they seek. Those who used to argue with you lose interest when they see you're emotionally detached. And eventually, you begin attracting a different kind of energy, one that aligns with the peace you've cultivated. This isn't a peace that can be faked, it's a deep, unshakable state of being. It doesn't rely on approval, validation, or having the last word. Once you experience it, you'll never want to go back. True freedom isn't about doing whatever you want, it's about needing nothing external to be at peace. It's about knowing that no matter what happens or what anyone says, you remain unshaken. So the next time someone tries to drag you into their storm, don't fight back. Stay still. Let them exhaust themselves. Let the noise pass like the wind through trees. Because when you stop giving attention to things that don't matter, you gain something far more valuable, your own peace. Cultivating an unshakable mind goes beyond simply ignoring what doesn't deserve your attention. The real transformation happens when you strengthen your mind to the point where you no longer even perceive certain provocations as significant. The external noise stops affecting you, not because you make a conscious effort to ignore it, but because it no longer resonates with you. How do you reach this state? Understanding the concept isn't enough. You have to train your mind. Just as you would train your body to become stronger, emotional stability isn't something you're born with, it's a skill that requires practice. Start by observing your mind without judgment. When you feel the urge to react, pause. Instead of focusing on the external situation, look inward. What emotion is surfacing? Is it ego? Insecurity? The fear of seeming weak? Understanding the root of your reaction is more valuable than simply forcing yourself to suppress it. Another crucial practice is detachment. Buddhism teaches that nothing is permanent, not conflicts, not criticism, not even our own identities. Ask yourself, will this still matter a year from now? If not, why give it so much weight today? Meditation is also a powerful tool. You don't need to sit in silence for hours. Even a few minutes of focusing on your breath can train your mind to resist impulsive reactions. If you can calm the storm within, no external storm can shake you. Your environment also plays a role. You may not control everything around you, but you can control what you consume, who you spend time with, and what you give importance to. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity and conflict, your mind absorbs that same chaos. But if you fill your life with peace, meaningful conversations, and stillness, that becomes your default state. And finally, learn to see life with humor. Many things that upset us do so because we assign them too much importance. When you learn to laugh at unnecessary conflicts and see them as spectacles you don't need to engage in, life becomes lighter. This isn't avoidance. It's refusing to carry burdens that were never yours to bear. Over time, provocations stop affecting you, not because you force yourself to ignore them, but because they no longer hold meaning. That's when you achieve an unshakable mind. Because in the end, it's not about avoiding arguments or criticism, it's about living in a state of peace that depends on nothing external. It's about waking up each day knowing that no one and nothing has the power to disturb your inner calm. Imagine a life where you no longer feel compelled to react to every comment, criticism, or attempt to provoke you. Imagine the peace that comes with knowing that no external force can disrupt your balance, not because you suppress your emotions, but because you've mastered where you place your attention. Most people spend their lives reacting to everything, arguing over trivial matters, and exhausting themselves emotionally. But when you free yourself from that cycle, you unlock a level of tranquility few ever experience. This isn't about passivity, it's about discernment. It's about knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every opinion about you deserves a response. Buddhism teaches that suffering doesn't come from what happens to us but from how we respond. Your power lies in choosing when to engage and when to let go. The next time someone tries to pull you into an argument, Pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, walk away. Choose calm over chaos. Choose peace over temporary satisfaction. And if this resonates with you, share a phrase that reminds you to stay centered. What's one sentence that helps you protect your energy? Because sometimes, a simple shift in perspective is all it takes to change everything.